Good evening, Noswaith. 3 men have been jailed at Swansea Crown Court after kidnapping an Israeli record producer who was lured to an isolated property in Ceredigion. Itai Kashti managed to escape from the cottage in Bryn Teg near Llanybydder after being beaten and handcuffed to a radiator. Our reporter Aled Scourfield is at Swansea Crown Court for us this evening. Aled.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Well, the court heard that the kidnappers wanted to extort money from Itai Kashti, but there was also a religious and political element to the kidnap. Judge Catherine Richards told the court that Mr. Kashti was also targeted because of his Jewish heritage.
You are under arrest on suspicion of GBH, of kidnap and unlawful imprisonment. Okay,
This is the moment the police found the men that tried to kidnap an innocent man, hiding in the Ceredigion countryside. Their target, an Israeli record producer from London. They tricked him into visiting this holiday cottage in the quiet hamlet of Bryn Teg near Llanybydder. Faiz Shah, who's 23 and from Bradford, Mohammed Comrie, who's 23 and from Leeds, and Elijah Oganubi Simi, 20 and from Wallington, rented this gatehouse in Bryn Teg online using a false identity and stolen bank details. They tricked Itai Kashti into believing they were from a record label and made arrangements for him to travel from London in a taxi. The 3 men planned the kidnap using the Telegram app. They wanted money from Kashti, but he was also targeted for political and religious reasons. In one message shared by the 3 prior to the kidnap, it was said the 3 had complete 100% faith in Allah, so we can't fail. Another screenshot shared by Shah said, recite or listen every day while keeping in mind your intention of jihad.
Itai Kashti, an Israeli music producer living in London, was lured to this cottage by the 3 men last August. He thought he was attending a legitimate music recording, but he was in fact walking into a trap that had been carefully and elaborately planned.
Mr. Kashti and his taxi driver were attacked when they entered the property by the 3 men wearing face masks. The taxi driver escaped, but Itai Kashti was beaten and handcuffed to a radiator pipe in the cottage. Mr. Kashti managed to escape when the 3 left the room and he freed himself from the pipe. He hid in nearby bushes, still in handcuffs, and phoned his wife, who raised the alarm. A huge search was launched by Dyfed Powys Police, which involved a helicopter. The 3 men were eventually found hiding in a field and pleaded guilty last month to charges of kidnap.
It is clear that this offence has had a profound, harrowing and lasting impact on the victim and his family. This crime was thoroughly planned and was sophisticated in elements, including the use of false identities. The motivation appears twofold. Firstly, they clearly intended to extort money from the victim, and additionally, there may have been political motivation and religious motivation also.
The local councillor for the area told me the events of last August had shaken this quiet community.
The roads were closed by the police for a lot of investigations. The helicopter was out the night before looking for these people, and everybody's in a shock, didn't know what was happening. As I said, in little rural countrysides, nothing much happens around here, but this, for people to come here and do this is a shock to the whole area.
Judge Catherine Richards told the court that the victim, Itai Kashti, had clearly been targeted because of his Jewish heritage, and that was utterly abhorrent. She sentenced all 3 men to 8 years and 1 month in custody. A restraining order was also granted by the judge, preventing any contact with the victim for a minimum of 15 years. The youngest defendant, Elijah Oganubi Simi, will serve his sentence in a young offenders institute. The other 2 men were jailed. We heard about the impact of this crime on the victim, Itai Kashti. He said in a personal impact statement that was read in court, as an Israeli, it felt like my own personal October the 7th, referring, of course, to the terrorist attacks on Jewish communities. He says that he still suffers from anxiety, and the judge said his mental health was in a poor state, and he said to still be receiving counselling following his harrowing experience in Ceredigion. Jen.
Festival organisers in Pembrokeshire have warned that they may have to move their events in future if new planning rules are introduced by Pembrokeshire Coast National Park Authority. It wants to make landowners apply for planning permission for temporary campsites, which are currently allowed for 28 days a year. Scourfield reports.
The big retreat combines fitness, yoga, meditation and music. It's been held in the heart of the Pembrokeshire Coast National Park since 2018, and the organisers estimate it brings in £1 million to the local economy. This stunning location in Loreni overlooking the Cleddau estuary is a key part of its success. A nearby field is used as a temporary campsite during the 4-day festival.
It's essential. We actually wouldn't run without our permitted development right, because it's how we run our campsite. So without our campsite, our festival doesn't run.
At the moment, landowners can operate temporary campsites for up to 28 days a year under what are called permitted development rights. But here in the National Park in Pembrokeshire, there are plans to force landowners to apply for planning permission.
We are potentially having to look at other sites and move the festival outside Wales, which has a massive impact on us, on all the suppliers in the local area that we use.
In England, temporary campsites can open for up to 60 days, and the Welsh Government will be consulting soon on extending the period in Wales too. But the National Park say they have to act because some temporary sites cause environmental damage and take up to 12% of the authority's enforcement time.
We regularly get a stream of complaints from people about problems that have been created. There is no regulation on 28-day sites, and therefore we are seeking to take a small measure in order to even the playing field.
The move's been supported by one organisation that has 16 sites in Pembrokeshire.
I attended one pop-up campsite which had over 200 pitches, and there were just 3 toilets and 1 wash basin to go between. There needs to be a level and standard of camping in Wales.
There'll be no impact on festivals this year, but the founder of Westival in Manorbier has said the decision creates uncertainty. Di Williams opened a temporary campsite here near Druidston back in 2021 to provide extra income. He says it's unfair there are different rules for landowners in the park.
If this farm was anywhere else in the country, apart from the Pembrokeshire National Park, I essentially could run a 28-day campsite without having a licence. Now, I understand the concern of the authority. You know, I totally understand that they don't want rogue people, ripping off customers. I completely get that. But in this case, this is not the case here.
This is going to put businesses in the National Park at a disadvantage compared to other areas.
I don't accept that. I think we are removing the disadvantage for the legitimate sites that have invested and providing excellent facilities.
A further consultation is being held until the 21st of February, with a final vote expected in the spring. The new rules are likely to come into force on the 1st of January next year.
Wrth i bodlediad newydd ar hanes marwolaethau amheus brawd a chwaer yn Sir Benfro ym 1976 gael ei ryddhau, mae perthynas i Griff a Patty Thomas wedi galw ar yr heddlu i ystyried codi'r 2 gorff o'r bedd. Fe gafodd adolygiad fforensig o'r achos i gyhoeddi gan heddlu Dyfed Powys bron i 2 flynedd yn ôl. Scourfield sydd ar stori.
Roedd Griff a Patty Thomas yn aelodau ffyddlon yng Nghapel y Bedyddwyr Rhydwilym, rhyw filltir o'i cartre, ffermdy ffynon Samson, ble roedd y brawd a'r chwaer wedi cydfew ers dyddiau plentyndod. Yn ei henaint roedd cyflwr bregus i iechyd yn bryder i'r 2.
Dwi'n cofio Griff yn methu a troi tudalennau a'r llyfr y minnau dros o. Felly, os yw'n ni'n eistedd i bwysau, wy'n ni'n helpu fe i ffeindio'r rhif iawn. A dwi'n cofio un adeg yno fe'n gillw neu spectols i gwmpo ar y llawr. A wedyn methu a deg yn dybenna pigwn lan. Fysa fe mor arthritic. Dwi'n cofio gweld Patty wedi un bach wyddol ffrail dau fel la.
Cafodd yr ardal gyfan i hysgwyd wrth glywed bod y 2 wedi darganfod yn farw gan y posmon Nigel Rossiter ar fore dydd Sadwrn yr 11 o Ragfyr 1976. Roedd Patty wedi dioddau anafiadau dychrynllyd i'w ffen a Griff wedi marw o losgiadau. Ar ôl agor ymchwiliad i lofruddiaeth ddwbl, penderfynodd y prif swyddog yng ngofal yr achos Pat Malloy fod Griff wedi ymosod ar ei chwaer efallai gyda chadair cyn gorwedd mewn tân oedd wedi gynnau'n fwriadol yn y gegin.
Oedd neb yn credu shwt i beth, a bydde unrhyw berson a sens yn ei benne ddim yn credu. Beth dath dros maloi i weid shw beth, i feddwl bydde rhywun fel Griff yn lladd i war, a wedyn gorwedd ar llawr a rhoi cod a rhoi unan ar dan. Mae'n joc.
Yn ôl Ann Gibby, doedd ei thad Emlyn oedd yn gefnder i'r ddau ddim yn derbyn esboniad yr heddlu.
Roedd y gweud i dyddiau dwytha, bydd y Griff byth wedi dod ben yn neud e. O achos i stad gorfforol ac bydd y Griff, yn credu bydd y Griff wedi wneud rhywbeth.
Mae rhai yn credu fod yna gliwiau oedd yn awgrymu bod yna ymwelydd wedi galw yn ffynon Samson.
Wel, ail ddysyd y de yn y rŵm ffrant. Bys ddim parti wedi gadael jyst unrhyw un mewn i'r rŵm ffrant. Dwi'n meddwl unrhyw'n unan we rwy'n wedi ymosod ar parti tra bod e lan yn y siop. Mae gyntaf dath Griff mewn trwy'r drws y tŷ, bio rwy'n yn ymosod yno fe.
Mae nifer o bobl yma yn ardal y Preselau yn teimlo bod Griff Thomas wedi cael ei barddio'n anheg fel llofrydd i chwaer. Ac mae'r ymdeimlad yna o anghyfiawnder yn parhau bron i hanner cam mlynedd ers i marwolaethau dychrynllyd.
Yn sgil pwysau gan berthnasau a phapur bro Clebran, cytunodd yr heddlu ym mis Hydref 2022 i gynnal adolygiad fforensig o achos ffynon Samson. Bron i 2 flynedd yn ddiweddarach, mae'r adolygiad yn parhau. Yn ôl Hugh Absalom, dyle'r heddlu ystyried archwilio'r hyn sy'n weddill o gyrff i berthnasau.
Wedos i, mae'r ddoi corff yn gorwedd yn Rhydwilym, a mae siiten haearn wedi cael ei rhoi rhynt y 2 coffin. So, byddwn ni'n meddwl, byddwn ddim cross-contamination i gael yna. Mae mwy o beth i pigo rhywbeth lan nawr na beth wnaethon nhw yn 77.
Doedd yr heddlu ddim yn fodlon ymateb yn benodol i'r alwad honno, ond maen nhw'n dweud bod nhw'n rhoi gwybodaeth rheolaidd i'r teulu. Bron i hanner cam mlynedd ers y drasiedi, mae achos ffynon Samson yn dal i gorddi teimladau cryf, ac i rai yn dal yn frwydr am gyfiawnder.
Fi'n pasio beth Griff y parti, a fi'n o hyd yn stopo o siarad yn nhw. Dwi'n mynd ucha yn rhoi llaw ar y carreg beth a gweud bod fi'n wmla droson nhw o hyd.
Hugh Absalom yn cloi'r adroddiad yna gan Aled Scourfield.